Have you ever felt a chill run down your spine as the clock strikes midnight, knowing that the darkest secrets of the night are about to unfold? Join me as I unravel the chilling tale of midnight madness, where unexplainable paranormal phenomena lurk in the shadows, waiting to ensnare unsuspecting souls. As the clock tower chimed midnight, casting eerie shadows across the deserted streets, I found myself wandering aimlessly through the dimly lit alleyways of the old town. The air was heavy with an unsettling stillness, broken only by the distant howl of a lone wolf. Despite the chill creeping up my spine, curiosity tugged at my senses, urging me deeper into the heart of the darkness that enveloped the night. It was said that midnight madness gripped this town like a vice, drawing in those brave or foolish enough to seek its mysteries. I had always dismissed such tales as mere superstition, but tonight, as I ventured further into the labyrinth of cobblestone streets, I couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister lurked just beyond the shadows. As if summoned by my thoughts, a faint whisper echoed through the alley, sending shivers down my spine. I froze, straining my ears to catch any sign of movement in the darkness. But there was nothing, save for the distant rustle of leaves and the soft patter of rain against the worn cobblestones. With a nervous swallow, I pressed on, my footsteps echoing hollowly against the empty streets. It felt as though the very air around me was charged with a palpable sense of anticipation, as if the night itself held its breath, waiting for some unknown terror to be unleashed upon the world. Suddenly a flicker of movement caught my eye, and I whipped around to find myself face to face with a shadowy figure looming in the darkness. My heart thundered in my chest as I stumbled backward, my mind racing with 1,000 questions and fears. But as the figure stepped forward into the dim light, I felt a strange sense of relief wash over me. It was only an old man, his face weathered with age and wisdom. His eyes, though clouded with years of hardship, held a spark of something ancient and otherworldly. "Seeking answers, are you?" he rasped, his voice like gravel against stone. I nodded hesitantly, unable to tear my gaze away from his piercing stare. "Then follow me," he said cryptically, beckoning me to follow as he disappeared into the depths of the night. With a mixture of trepidation and curiosity, I trailed after him, the darkness swallowing us whole as we delved deeper into the heart of midnight madness. The old man led me through winding alleyways and forgotten passageways, each step bringing us closer to the heart of the town's darkest secrets. Along the way, he spoke of legends and lore, of spirits that roamed the night and whispered secrets to those who dared to listen. As we walked, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that unseen eyes followed our every move from the shadows. But the old man seemed unperturbed, his steps steady and sure as he guided me toward our destination. Finally, we arrived at a crumbling mansion nestled on the outskirts of town. Its once grand facade now faded and worn with age. The old man gestured for me to enter, his expression unreadable as he disappeared into the darkness. I hesitated for only a moment before pushing open the creaking door and stepping inside. The air was thick with dust and decay, the silence broken only by the faint sound of my own heartbeat echoing in the empty halls. As I ventured further into the mansion, I became acutely aware of a presence lurking just beyond the edges of my vision. Shadows danced in the corners of the room, shifting and twisting as if alive with a malevolent energy. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind swept through the hallway, extinguishing the flickering candles that lined the walls. Panic surged through me as darkness enveloped me like a suffocating cloak, leaving me disoriented and vulnerable in the blackness. But just as quickly as it had come, the darkness receded, replaced by a faint glow emanating from a doorway at the end of the hallway. With trembling hands I approached, the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end as I crossed the threshold into the unknown. What awaited me on the other side would defy all logic and reason, plunging me headlong into a nightmare from which there would be no escape. The room beyond the doorway was bathed in an ethereal light, casting long shadows that danced along the walls like specters from another realm. A chill ran down my spine as I stepped further into the room, my senses overwhelmed by the strange energy that permeated the air. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, upon which rested an ancient tome bound in leather as black as midnight. It seemed to pulse with an otherworldly power, beckoning me closer with an irresistible allure. With trembling hands I reached out and traced the intricate symbols etched into the cover, each stroke sending a shiver of anticipation down my spine. There was something familiar about the symbols, something primal and ancient that stirred a long-forgotten memory deep within my soul. As if in a trance, I opened the tome and began to read, the words flowing from my lips like a forgotten incantation. With each syllable, the room seemed to come alive with a pulsating energy, swirling and coalescing into shapes and forms that defied explanation. But as the final words left my lips, a darkness descended upon the room, swallowing the light and leaving me engulfed in a void of nothingness. Panic clawed at my chest as I struggled to find my bearings in the darkness, my mind reeling with fear and confusion. Then, just as suddenly as it had come, the darkness receded, leaving me standing alone in the center of the room, the ancient tome clutched tightly in my trembling hands. I glanced around frantically, searching for any sign of the old man who had led me here, but he was nowhere to be found. With a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, I realized that I was truly alone, trapped in a nightmare of my own making with no hope of escape. But as I turned to leave, a voice whispered in the recesses of my mind, its words echoing with a chilling certainty. "You have unleashed forces beyond your understanding," it murmured, sending a shiver down my spine. "And now you must face the consequences." With a sinking feeling of dread, I realized that I had opened a door that should have remained firmly shut, unleashing powers that threatened to consume me whole. And as I stood alone in the darkness, I knew that midnight madness had claimed its latest victim, leaving me to wander its twisted halls for all eternity. As I stood there, the weight of what I had done began to settle upon me like a heavy cloak. The realization that I had tampered with forces far beyond my comprehension sent a chill down my spine. I had ventured into the realm of the unknown, and now there was no turning back. With trembling hands, I clutched the ancient tome tightly to my chest, feeling its pulse reverberate through my veins like a sinister heartbeat. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to flee, to escape this cursed place before it consumed me whole. But something held me rooted to the spot, an insatiable curiosity that gnawed at my soul, and urged me to delve deeper into the mysteries that surrounded me. I knew that I should resist, that I should turn away and never look back, but the pull of the unknown was too strong to ignore. And so, with a sense of dread mingled with excitement, I made a fateful decision to continue my exploration of midnight madness, to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within its shadowy depths. As I ventured further into the mansion, the air grew thick with a tangible sense of foreboding, as if the very walls themselves were closing in around me. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind seemed to carry with it a warning of the horrors that awaited me. But still, I pressed on, driven by a reckless determination to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. And as I descended deeper into the labyrinthine corridors of the mansion, I knew that I was treading a dangerous path from which there would be no return. What dark secrets lay waiting to be unearthed in the bowels of midnight madness? What horrors lurked in the shadows just beyond the reach of my trembling fingertips? Only time would tell as I braced myself to confront the nightmares that awaited me in the heart of the night. As I delved deeper into the mansion's labyrinthine corridors, each step seemed to echo louder than the last, reverberating through the empty halls like a haunting melody. The oppressive atmosphere weighed heavily on my shoulders, threatening to crush my resolve with its suffocating grip. Despite the overwhelming sense of dread that gnawed at my insides, I pressed on, my footsteps faltering only briefly as I confronted the darkness that loomed ahead. There was no turning back now. I was committed to unraveling the mysteries of midnight madness, no matter the cost. As I rounded a corner, my breath caught in my throat at the sight that greeted me. Before me stretched a grand hall, its vaulted ceiling disappearing into the shadows high above. But it was not the grandeur of the hall that gave me pause. It was the figures that lined its walls, their eyes boring into mine with an intensity that sent a chill down my spine. They were statues, or so I thought at first glance, but as I drew nearer, I realized with a sinking feeling that they were something far more sinister. Each figure was frozen in a moment of agony, their faces contorted in silent screams of terror that seemed to pierce straight through to my soul. I recoiled in horror, my heart hammering in my chest as I realized the true nature of the statues that surrounded me. They were not merely stone, they were the petrified remnants of those who had dared to delve too deeply into the secrets of midnight madness, their fate sealed for all eternity in a twisted mockery of life. But even as fear threatened to consume me whole, a voice whispered in the back of my mind, urging me to press on despite the dangers that lurked around every corner. It was a voice that spoke of forbidden knowledge and untold power, promising me answers to questions that had long haunted my dreams. With a sense of grim determination, I tore my gaze away from the statues and continued onward, each step bringing me closer to the heart of the darkness that had ensnared me. I knew that I was walking a perilous path, but I also knew that there was no turning back now, not if I ever hoped to uncover the truth behind Midnight Madness. And so, with every fiber of my being screaming for me to flee, I steeled myself for the trials that lay ahead, ready to confront whatever horrors awaited me in the depths of the night. As I kept walking through the mansion, it felt like I was stepping into a nightmare. The halls were dark and silent, and a chill ran down my spine with each creak of the floorboards. But I couldn't turn back now. I had to find out what secrets Midnight Madness held. As I turned a corner, I stumbled upon a grand hall filled with statues. But these weren't just any statues. They were frozen in poses of terror, their faces twisted in agony. It was like they were trapped in a moment of fear, forever haunting the halls of this cursed mansion. Despite my fear, a voice in my head urged me to keep going. It promised answers to the questions that had plagued me for so long. So with shaky hands and a racing heart, I pushed forward, determined to uncover the truth no matter the cost. With each step, the darkness seemed to grow thicker, wrapping around me like a suffocating blanket, but I refused to let it consume me. I had come too far to turn back now. And so, with every ounce of courage I could muster, I continued deeper into the heart of Midnight Madness, ready to face whatever horrors awaited me.